Hey there, I'm meteorologist Jamie Singleton on no sleep. It's been a busy work day. I've been up since 2 in the morning, but still going strong here because we do have what I think is a serious situation now developing across Southside Virginia. And I'm going to start out by showing you why. We've been talking all day about this upper level low that's been sitting here over North Carolina. It's moving a bit north today. There's lots of energy in the atmosphere, and it's been quite cool. We've had, of course, the obvious lots of flash flooding, 3 to 5 inches of rain, some places 5 to 10 inches of rain, depending on how you measure it, what days you include, and where you measure it. So, flooding, water rescues, I can't begin to tell you how many service calls, tree reports, down trees, down power lines, a ton of car accidents today. Um, you get these sometimes when it pours down rain, but we're talking, for about 2 hours straight on every frequency, there were car accidents. They had to be because of hydroplaning. Can't confirm that, but have people telling each other over the scanner that's probably what it was because it was pouring down rain and it still is. Now, listen, the concern is in the south side area. You've got a couple of special weather statements issued here. As you get closer, just like in a tropical system, this isn't a tropical system, but we have the swirl going on as if it were a tropical system. And that's all that matters in terms of wind shear. But near that swirl, there is actually a lot of curvature that takes place. And that curvature at the low levels forces the parameters that we measure potential tornadoes with to increase. And so we actually have some rotation in south side. It's very broad, but it's enough for these special weather statements to be issued. One of them expires here pretty as a flash flood warning. I'm going to get to that in just a second. But I want to try to pop up the special weather statement if I can. Zoom on into Halifax County. That's the area getting hit hard now. What concerns me too about that is the movement is going in a way that's training over the same area. So they've got a strong thunderstorm. This is the National Weather Service in Blacksburg. Now you can bet they're watching the same thing I am here. So when they put out a special weather statement, sometimes it's a hint that that could become a warning soon, probably a severe thunderstorm warning. None of that effective right now, just the SPS, which is what we call the special weather statement. But at 6:15, strong thunderstorm located over Halifax, moving northwest at only 5 miles per hour. That's the other bad thing in terms of rainfall. Winds in excess of 40 miles per hour are possible with the storm. Locations include South Boston, Scottsburg, and Crystal Hill. Torrential rainfalls occurring. Never drive your car through flooded roads. So anyway, you can see the higher cloud tops of that going into northern Pennsylvania, northern Halifax County up to around Lynchburg, curling around into Franklin County. We've had more rain in the Franklin County. We've got a flood warning in effect for Franklin County as well. There's another special weather statement out here, and I want to show you something. But down here across North Carolina, temperatures are in the 70s to around 80, and temperatures are in the 50s and 60s here. There's a boundary that's right on the state line, and that's where we had a tornado warning earlier in Northampton County, North Carolina, just south of Emporia. There is another special weather statement out for yet another cell. 9 miles south of Lawrenceville, moving north-northwest at 25, 1 to 2 inches of rain possible in that as well. With these special weather statements, they do mean business sometimes in terms of what you could be seeing out there with time. So I'm looking at my velocity here, and this is just raw velocity out of south side. And I don't see a lot of rotation, honestly, but I do see some rotation. And the fact of the matter is, we do have winds that are coming in. Let's see if I can draw them here. They're coming in out of the surface like this. But down here, they're coming in. We've got warmer air like this. Okay. And really, it's more of an Eastern Virginia warm air thing. But there is some warmer air residing down there. And then if you go up in the atmosphere a little bit more, the winds come around to out of the east, and then as you go up a little bit higher in the atmosphere, the winds come in out of the, let's see if I've got it right here because it is a weird direction. See, that would be, I think I've got that right. Yes, that'd be 500 millibars out of the east southeast, and then you go even higher up, and it is more like this. So that is veering wind that can, if it intercepts some lift and some instability, you can get some rotation. All right, and so that's what we're starting to see. There's also been a lightning jump. We call that a lightning jump, and we look at lightning sometimes to tell us what the storm is doing. Updrafts and ice crystals high in the sky can give you a lightning jump, but precip sorting can also do the same thing. And as storms organize precip, it's a sign that they are becoming supercellular, and they could become, where they want to spin. So, looking at Halifax and South Boston, I do see, some lightning jumping out of this thing. Now, this is basically it's elevated, but if it gets to the surface and it's trying to hug that boundary, the boundary again is right along. It's pretty neat how it lines up. Just coincidental that it lines up right along the Virginia North Carolina border. If I plop up the temperatures here, it is okay. That scared me for a second. It's still warm. 70 degrees today. We were in the 70s across Roanoke Rapids, almost around 80, and then we were in the 50s and 60s back here at home. So there's a temperature boundary right through here. There's also a pressure boundary. And again, our upper level winds are wanting to blow in out of the south, but our initial winds below that are coming in out of the surface. That's the same spin we get. We've just the orientation is now 90 degrees to the east. It doesn't matter in wind shear. Wind shear is an absolute value. But we certainly are seeing the storms trying to organize, at least as a result of that wind shear. Now they're going to weaken as they move closer into the Roanoke Valley area. But I've got my eye on you, south side, just in case something were to spin up, as we say at times. So we've got more heavier rain occurring through Henry County. It keeps developing here through the Roanoke Valley area where they'll need another drop of rain, and I'll show you that too. And then to the NRV, I told you today, Floyd County to Pulaski would likely be another area that we would have to watch, and that is coming to fruition as well. Here is the satellite radar composite off of my SIMU AWIPS, and you can see that upper level low. It's pretty much centered over Danville right now, and it is drifting to the north, but that's why we're seeing all of the energy across the area. I'm just getting a flood statement. Flood warning remains in effect for Roanoke, Blacksburg, Salem, Christiansburg. We've had, let's see, 2 to 4 inches of rain, another inch or so possible through the evening hours. That's the same statement there, but you can see the bands that continue as well. Now, if I move this over, you can see the spin. That's the heart of the system. That's the vorticity that I've been watching all day. So this isn't really a lobe of energy as much as it is the actual low itself that's moving in now. I was also looking at the dew points at about dew points are moisture, basically, absolute values of moisture. I was looking at the dew points at about 10,000 feet, and they were increasing throughout the day. And when you move moisture in, that's a sign of lift and instability, and there's surface CAPE as well. Surface energy is actually available, believe it or not, as cool as it is. Surface energy is available, and so that was one of the things that led to that tornado warning earlier, just to the east and south of Emporia. Low-level winds are still coming in again out of the east at a good 30 miles per hour. They're going to be weakening, I think, as we go into the night tonight and into tomorrow. But still, as heavier rain falls through this, we are seeing some winds that are still gusty outside. They're bringing down trees and power lines. Lots of tree and power line reports across the area. And then you've got a big mess here on this radar picture. These are all of the flooding reports that we've had. 13th Street in Roanoke's closed. Small mudslide, quarter mile south of Crystal Creek Drive, Bramilton Avenue. Road and culvert washed out in Bedford. And that's just, a little bit of it. If you go to the Virginia Department of Transportation, and you look at their 511 page, and what I've done is I filtered out all the road work, and so this is just all of the every cloud you see here is a road that is closed for flooding and or a tree being down. So lots of, hard to travel. Lots of these reports outside, and pretty much bank on it. There's high water. It's going to be around tonight and into tomorrow as well. Now, looking at our future, see if I got an updated model here. That's the 12Z. So we'll put this in motion, see what's to come. Future rainfall. And this is through tonight and through Thursday. Still looking at the possibility of 1 to 3 inches of rain, especially southern West Virginia down through Franklin County and Floyd County. And again, it depends on what model you look at as to where the placement of that is. But most everything's in pretty good agreement that we are still going to see a fair amount of rainfall in these waves that continue to move through. We're actually getting that rainfall right now. So here's the upper level low in the blue. Let's advance it for you here and see where it goes. This is tomorrow morning. It's still over Bristol. It may wobble north-south sometimes in West Virginia. Friday, it's in West Virginia, but we still have the lower heights in blue. That means the jet stream will still be digging across our area, and we will still see some unsettled weather. We'll break out into some sunshine in between, but yeah, we're going to see the unsettled weather each afternoon, probably into Father's Day weekend, because another disturbance comes in behind that, and the warmer weather will be moving in, but the warmer weather will be moving in. What I mean by that, it's going to clear up, but as it does that, it self-destructs, and because of all the moisture on the ground and the heating of the day, more of your, I wouldn't say garden variety, but scattered strong storms each afternoon this weekend. About a 30 to 40% coverage of that. So not everyone's going to get wet this weekend, but we are going to transition into more of a summery stormy pattern with isolated flash flooding there possible. This is how much rain it would take to flood. And VDOT in Salem retweeted this today, and I do appreciate that. This was nowhere near what it was earlier, and that's in a bad way. This is like golf. The lower the number, the worse it is, because this is how much rain it would take to flood further. And it will not take another drop of rain in the white. So if you go up across East Roanoke and Vinton, and you look at this area around the Blue Ridge area that was hit so hard today in Botetourt County, and then you that's actually updated. That's pretty cool. You look at eastern Botetourt County, areas like that. Some of that water is now run off, but still over 6 hours, you still don't need but maybe a half of an inch to an inch of water, additional rainfall to cause some issues out there. It's neat how this updated, because a second ago you just saw the white up there and it was less than a quarter of an inch. So yeah, we're doing a good job at running this off. Hopefully we'll get a chance to do that before any other bands of heavy rain move back in for the night. Roanoke River at Roanoke is at flood stage. Let's see if I can get this to update. A lot of the rivers are up around flood stage. I think the latest forecast puts it going up to 11 feet later tonight, about midnight or so, and then staying above flood stage through tomorrow. So it'll remain very high, as will a lot of our main stem rivers. Now, looking at the past 168 hours, we've had, again, upwards of 4 inches of rain, upwards of 8 to 10 inches of rain in the brown areas there. So yeah, there's been a lot of rain. It's been spread out for the most part, but it wasn't so this morning. Now, every 12 hours, I get a blend of how much rain is possible. This is an average of very, probably the finest computer models you can get in terms of getting details, getting down to a higher resolution, and then you have about 50 some members that you average. So through tonight, this is how much rain the computer model is printing out for us here. through 12Z Tuesday, so through 8 o'clock. It's printing out a lot of rainfall, about 0.75 to 1.5 inches for the most part. Now, the upslope areas could see another 1.75 inches of rain on top of what you have. But again, if that falls slow enough, it may not cause much problem out there. But now this is going to reset. So this resets now. Now we're looking at the 12-hour period from 8 a.m. tomorrow to 8 p.m. Thursday. And while the activity will be scattered, where it does rain, you're going to probably get about a quarter of an inch to as much as an inch of rain tomorrow. There are some areas in here near 2 inches, but it's hard to see in the purple. It's going to depend on where the heavier storms develop, but there will be some stronger and heavier storms around tomorrow. And then looking beyond that, let's go from, tomorrow night into Friday morning. So now we're looking at the 12-hour period from 8 p.m. Thursday to 8 a.m. Friday. And another surge of moisture comes in with amounts here between 1/2 of an inch and 1.5 inches. So you add all that up and, you're looking at a good 3 inches still to come, which is what a lot of the modeling does have across the area. So that's the concern. You can see still some very heavy rain across south side. Let's go in here. I'm going to show you a couple of things. I showed you the temperatures earlier. I'll let these load because I've got the wind also drawn. I want to talk a little bit about this boundary a little bit more. You can see it here. It's more of a warm front. It's 75 in Raleigh, 70 in Asheboro, and it's only 64 in Martinsville. You've got these heavier overrunning storms developing. Now, what's the blue? That is the significant tornado parameter. And yes, it's not high, but it does exist. And anytime you see it exist, you have to watch it because it's showing you something there. So some of the ingredients are adding up, and where they add up, you are going to get a number for the significant tornado parameter. But it's highest along in the Emporia area where we had that warning earlier. There's a huge blog on that right now on my Patreon site for free. You can read all about the spin. But you've got wind here coming out of the north through Richmond and then out of the southwest in North Carolina. So that alone gets a little bit of spin going. And so again, I'm going to be watching south side and into North Carolina for the possibility of some rotation. But you can see those lightning strikes also showing up there live on your screen. I'll tilt this and we'll go to our lightning. 3D tilt strikes. There's not a lot of lightning out there, but there's some, and it shows up right there. Again, it's a sign of that boundary interacting with some lift. So we do have sufficient lift and cape to get some activity going on here. This is the higher res look here on the radar picture. There are just a number of flood advisories. I'm not going to mention all of them, but just about the entire area where it's raining. Anywhere there's rain, there are flood advisories in effect. You see my mouse going crazy as I hover over them. But look at this lightning strike here, lightning jump. Again, this is in Henry County now, so Ridgeway to Spencer to Horse Pasture, just south of Oak Level. This is a dangerous looking storm, not just because of the rain, but also because of that. And you can see the low-level jet pushing this off from east to west. Look how fast it's moving there. But the cell's not moving too fast because the winds aloft are pushing it out of the south. And so that, again, gives you a little bit of spin. Now, I'm not saying there is going to be a tornado. I don't think there is, actually. But I do think we may have some rotation that may warrant a severe thunderstorm warning or a special weather statement for this area. We may have to watch this. You can never count out an upper level low with situations like this. Look how fast also that lightning jumped up. Just when I started, we didn't even have anything more than just some light drizzle on radar, and now we have a heavy thunderstorm over Ridgeway. That should tell you how dynamic the atmosphere is. And so these heavier storms and heavier showers are going to put down some torrential rainfall. And where the cranberry colors disappear and the brighter colors show up, shows me where it's really raining, where some of the very high rainfall rates are. and that helps me filter out the regular old rain and show you the really heavy rain there. It continues around Halifax into Scottsburg and Brookneal there as well. I was looking at rotation on my 4 panel here, trying to find something, and I didn't find much, but I did see, some convergence in the Halifax. You see some red and some green, some very broad convergence or rotation earlier into Halifax County, an area that's not immune to rotation, but nothing that's nearly tight enough to get things going. But again, I just wanted to say that we do have uh, the ingredients in place. I want to get to my SPC viewer here. That's what I want to show you. You can see this is also storm relative helicity. Values are there. Not a lot, but they are there. There are other values that I was showing you. This is if you go to 5,000 feet and then go to 18,000 feet, what are our winds doing? Are they crossing over? And they are in parts of Virginia. So this is bulk wind shear, just a measure of all the wind shear. It decreases a little bit tonight, but it was actually, fairly high. And this is our moisture transport. This is still very impressive. We've been bringing in higher levels of humidity. Now the dew point 62 at the TV station all day. We had temperatures that were only in the 50s yesterday, and so the air couldn't hold as much water. That's why it was more of a light to moderate rain. Well, now the rains are increasing in terms of being more efficient because we're bringing in higher dew point air. And as we do that, we start to see the rain, wherever it does rain, it starts to add up even faster out there. This is Surface Cape. It's weakened somewhat, but we're still about 1,000 joules per kilogram through here. And we don't have any blue. That would be the what we'd have to overcome to get to use that cape. So this is available potential energy for these storms to tap into. And when they do, they will have the potential to spin. This is lifted index, and this is also kind of an inverse look at CAPE where the values go negative. That's like golf again. That's more severe potential, okay? So they've highlighted here where the values are at -2 to -3 to -4, even -6. -2 but and below is potential for severe weather, all right? And now on top of that, we've shown you the winds at these two levels. So you're looking at the wind at 850, the wind at about 5,000 feet coming in out of the east, and then as you go up to about 18,000 feet, the wind goes to the right by about 35 to 45 degrees. That is wind shear, and that is why our helicity values are fairly high. And if you look at that on a scale of where our cloud bases are, because if you want a tornado, you want it pretty close to the ground. You don't want to have to work on getting that spin to go all the way through a big layer of the atmosphere. So low LCLs, lifted condensation levels, are also in that area too that you'd have to watch for. It is an odd setup, so it doesn't scream tornado to me, but it does. Again, easterly winds to southeasterly winds, and then you go up in the atmosphere as well. So it's primarily a lower level thing, though. All right. So just keep that in mind as you go through the rest of the evening. And again, I've got a big blog. This was earlier. The Cape was impressive to me. This is off of my AWIPS page. This is actually the, I believe, low-level helicity. You can see it there centered over Roanoke. Looks like Mickey Mouse, but it's not. That's the low-level spin increasing. And then we had a lightning jump. Just as I was writing this blog, all this happened in Halifax County, the lightning in Pittsylvania County around Gretna. Some gusty winds in here as well. And this continues to develop. It's something I'm watching. We just showed you this. Again, everything lines up. These storms, the helicity, that box I showed you, the Cape. This is another way of looking at that Cape. The flash flood warning even lines up with it. And the temperature gradient and the earlier confirmed tornado right there in the purple lined up with it as that warmer air bulged north and met the cooler air in that white circle there. So I think Danville to the North Carolina state line, we all we all need to watch for that. And check out this map, and I've got that up. Got it up here, I believe. Not that one. It's not that one. I have way too many tabs open. It's this one. Okay, let me size it back down. So this is showing me the Cape and cloud physics. Basically shows me the different layers of clouds. The red would be the cirrus that are blowing off the tops of these clouds. And if this doesn't give you an idea of how tall the clouds are getting, I don't know what does. But this is Henry County. Those are those cells in Henry County right now. And you can see that it's not really a lot of Cape to work with. You've only got about 500 joules per kilogram of Cape. But you're really towering up here because you've got the upper low just to the south in Eden. So the upper low is almost right on top of you, and that's enough to get things going, get things cooking in terms of stronger storms. Don't be surprised too to get some hail in some of these. The colder air is aloft, and it certainly happened. But you can see the bubbly nature of these clouds, where it was a stratus earlier, and we just had a general rain. We are transitioning over to more of a bubbly type, summery type atmosphere. So we're just lodging all that cool air that we had in place slowly. But where we are pushing it, it is the boundary that we're watching. And again, the Cape tends to actually pull up here. You go from seeing a little bit of Cape up to 2,500 joules per kilogram in southeast Virginia. And again, that's important because we also have wind shear here. So southeast Virginia still needs to be watched as our energy rounds through here and interacts with that. That's going to be potentially causing some problems. Now, let alone the fact, you don't even look at the Cape, but we also look at the fact that these are storms. And so they are putting down some rather incredible rainfall rates. And you can see them now developing again in the Henry County. Looks like we got more of an easterly push here, but avoiding now the area that was under the flash flood warning, with the exception of Halifax still under the very, very heavy rain. But unfortunately, it looks like it's made a move back into Bedford County, not raining quite as hard, but in the Roanoke as well. I want to check out some rainfall rates while I'm on here with you. And, pardon me for being a little bit scatterbrained. It's been a long day. Been about a 18-hour day. But we're going to look at rainfall rates here. And this is everything. So it's not just raining, but when it rains at 3 inches an hour, that's a problem. That's a problem out there. 3 inches an hour, and then you go up to almost a inch an hour here in some of the areas around Floyd County and the Patrick County. And then South Boston also, we have rainfall rates here of about 3 inches an hour to 2.6 inches of rain in an hour. A lot of rainfall, and a lot of it coming down now in a short amount of time because they're coming in the form of thunderstorms. That's your update for right now. See, I've dropped a few frames, so my bandwidth is suffering, so hopefully you can still see this. But I'm going to sign off for now. It might even take me a nap. But just stay weather aware. Look at my Twitter page for all the latest stuff. Will auto-post there. Also on my Facebook, warnings will auto-post there. I do want you just to know that we are not out of the woods yet. We have another busy night in store with the potential for more flash flooding, maybe not as widespread, maybe in different areas, and then maybe some stronger storms there thrown in as well.